Do not buy a machine that's not underpowered. Market value does not apply to a machine in a dark little warehouse sitting in a corner. The goal was to take the seller away from the buyer because we didn't want people to know how much money the company was making on a deal.
What are some other red flags?
The biggest one is
today's video is all about the most crucial information that machine shops need to know when buying or selling used machinery. Every small business owner really needs to see this. It could save you time, money, and potentially a lot of headache. So I'm with one of the most knowledgeable people in the used machinery space, Anthony Cerrito. Anthony, pleasure being with you today.
Thanks for having me.
For a little more context, tell us a little bit more about your background.
Yeah, sure. So I started out in the shop, worked as a machinist, did some programming for 9 years before getting into sales. Started with a machine tool company. We sold new and used. I spent 90% of my last 9 years really focused on used equipment.
I'm ready to dive into it. I'm excited to pick your brain and share all those tips and things that people may not know that they need to know.
The good
before
stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
The juice.
So as a buyer or seller of used machinery, what do the used dealers not want you to know?
It all depends on the used dealer, right? Like anything else, there's good and there's bad, right? So the goal is to educate the marketplace on, things to watch out for, right? Where you're gonna lose money, where you're gonna lose time, maybe you'll be taken advantage of, and just kind of gravitate towards the people you could tell are helping you and the people who are helping themselves. If you're looking to sell, work with someone who's gonna tell you what your equipment's worth. And when you're a buyer, work with someone who's gonna help you on the fees. The machine in itself is obvious, but thousands are spent just in rigging, prepping, inspecting, and if you ain't careful, you could be paying way too much for those services.
How involved in some of those additional costs? I've found that some dealers will get involved in coordinating some of the shipping and rigging, some won't. Is there any rhyme or reason to that?
Yeah, they wanna make money on you. Now, the thing you gotta be careful for is if something goes wrong, because the dealer's real quick to take money, right, on the transaction, on rigging, on shipping, but if the machine gets damaged during rigging or shipping, it becomes a little bit more muddy, right? Because now who's liable? The biggest example is, if I structure a deal with a shop, say Carl here, on his Doosan, right? And bring him an offer that's loaded on a truck. So say $10,000 loaded on a truck. I might try to charge the buyer $1,500 for loading as the used dealer, but then I might walk over to Carl and say, hey, do you have a forklift? Can you lift this on a truck? That machine gets damaged by Carl. He's not a rigger, he doesn't have insurance, right? Now everybody's SOL. The thing shows up to the buyer with damage. You can't just call up and make an insurance claim. Now everybody's kind of in a weird, awkward position.
Specifically when buying a used machine, what are the questions that you have to ask when you're working with a used dealer?
There's several, right? So first off, you want to really dive in deep on the asset that you're interested in, right? So background on the machine, maintenance history, material it's cut, hours, all that fun stuff. But most specifically to the dealer itself would be ask them if they've seen the machine in person. Are they working directly with the shop, or are they just brokering the machine with another dealer and now you're paying two dealers that you don't know about to buy the same piece of equipment, right? If the dealer hasn't seen the machine under power or been to the shop, talk to the owner, they're probably not gonna know too much about the machine. We wanna be able to let buyers and sellers talk, right? That's another key aspect to working with a good dealer. If a dealer doesn't want you talking to an end user who's selling their machine, what value are they really offering you, right? There's no value in a secret.
How important is it to see a machine in person and under power?
Do not buy a machine that's not underpowered. A lot of machines out in the secondary market are not underpowered. The dealers selling them haven't seen them underpowered, and you're buying it based on word. Extremely important. See the machine under power. Do a proper inspection. Whether you do it yourself, you could hire a third-party tech to go out on your behalf and see the machine. At the very least, utilize today's technology. Have somebody do a FaceTime video with you in front of the machine. Ask questions of them, right, while you're in front of the machine. Hey, turn the spindle up. Getting a video on a machine, get you 90% there. If it's got bad bearings, issues with the ways and stuff, you'll hear it in the video, and then maybe you'll go, all right, hey, I don't want to spend the $2,000 to go see this machine in person. Let me find something else.
Let's say you do a FaceTime video and it's almost like a pre-qualify. Checks out. You still recommend going to see it in person?
Oh, I do. Yeah, I mean, it's just my nature. These things are expensive, man.
So if you're going to buy a machine, you want to make sure you see it under power. So if you're selling the machine, it's also very important to keep it under power, right?
Thank you. Yeah, don't unplug your machines. When you're valuing a machine and you call me up, right? And if you have a machine to sell, I'm gonna tell you in our call, hey, here's what I think the market's gonna pay for your machine. It means if it's underpowered. Market value does not apply to a machine in a dark little warehouse sitting in a corner. Finance companies need to understand that as well. So when they're hiring a company, a professional company to go in and recover an asset, they are relying on that company to give them what they think the market value will be on that machine. And they owe it to the person who might be losing it if it's a repo, right? Because that guy's still gonna probably be on the hook. I don't know for sure, I'm assuming, but if they got a $50,000 machine on market value, but they take it off power, move it in a warehouse and you can't inspect it, now you're maybe getting 35 grand. It's a big difference.
So that brings me to my next question. What role does financing play in buying and selling of used machines? And how important is the financing company that you work with?
Extremely important. Yeah. We're all chasing the American dream. A lot of people who want to get into equipment, start their own business, but because they don't have the 2 years, and I think we talked about this on the phone, no business history, they think I'll never get financed. I mean, is that the case? Can't you finance somebody with no history?
Yeah, I mean, firsthand, we've been able to help out some of those newer startups, and that definitely relates to the used world, right? Because, whether a guy is starting a shop in his garage, or, he just got maybe a bay at an industrial park, that first machine is really gonna get him going.
Yeah.
Him or her. And we're happy to help those folks. So that's
everyone's got to
important.
start somewhere, man.
For us, it's not an issue because we know the space so well in terms of the equipment, the manufacturing world. We have trusted companies and vendors that we work with. So that's the importance of partnerships and relationships. Just going back to, I feel like I'm always saying it, but it's true. Customers will come to us and say, hey, I'm actually looking for VF2. I'm looking for, this type of mill. And maybe on the used market, they haven't found it yet. So we will point those customers to, hey, you should call Anthony.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah,
so
it
you'll
can
help
work.
them hunt for it too.
Yeah, so it could work both ways. All right, man, well, thanks so much for sharing with us today. I think there's a lot of really useful tips for the machine shop that might be buying or selling a machine.
Yeah, if you're looking for any help on buying and selling used equipment, reach out to me on LinkedIn. You can give me a call on my cell phone. My mobile phone's always on me.
For more manufacturing tips and case studies, check out the next video.